to another green marble crochet tutorial. For this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make this delightful egg chair inspired sweater. Yes, this one's quite the process, so yeah, just want to mention that quickly. There's a bit to get through. I think because I've been looking at it so much over the past week, you know, when you look at something too much, it either loses meaning or you stop liking it. I don't know if I like this or not. I don't know what I'm seeing anymore, you know. So if you want to tell me what you think of this in the comments, please feel free. Tell me your thoughts. I want to know what you think, because it's lost meaning for me. Anyway, if that makes sense. Anyway, so let's move on. Let's just move straight on to making it. But before that, if you haven't subscribed but you would like to subscribe to join me for some more tutorials, I would love to have you join me. A big thank you to my patrons. Thank you for your support. And thank you to my subscribers. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching my videos. If you need my help with anything very quickly, look for me on Instagram. That's the quickest way you can get a hold of me. So on there I am _green_marble. And I can help you with whatever questions that you have, whatever you need help with, hopefully. Alright, so that's it. We should just get straight into making this. Okay, now to begin with, we're going to look at the tiny details on the label. And I'm using these two yarns, and they're exactly the same brand. So we'll just have a look at the label quickly. So here it is. This is what we're working with. If you need more time to have a look, if you need more time to look at anything, just pause the video on what you need to look at. So here we've got the tiny relevant details. So it's 100 grams and it's 100% acrylic. And it's saying that I should be using a 3 to a 3.5 millimeter hook. So for this project, I'm using my 3 millimeter hook. I also just wanted to quickly mention that if at any point during the tutorial I'm going too fast, there's a feature on YouTube where you can slow the video down. So if you do that, it slows right down to pretty much any speed you want it to be, and that's really good. Alright, so let's begin. I'm going to start with the orange for the collar. And what we're going to do to begin with is we're going to find the end of our yarn. So I'm finding the end of our yarn. We're going to start by making a slip knot. And to do that, we wind the yarn around our fingers like this, then pull that loop through, just like that. Then we're going to adjust that knot to our hook like this, and there's our slip knot. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start by chaining 9. So to make a chain stitch, it's yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So that's 3 chains. So we'll make a chain of 9. Alright, and here I am with my chain of 9. Now what we're going to do is we're going to skip that first chain from the hook. So that one just there. We're going to insert our hook into the second chain from the hook. So just like this. We're going to yarn over. We're going to pull a loop through. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through those 2 loops. And that's a single crochet. So we're going to be putting a single crochet into every chain all the way back down to the beginning. When you get to the beginning, you will have 8 single crochets along. Okay, see you at the beginning. Okay, here I am at the beginning with 8 single crochets along. So now what we're going to do is we're going to chain up 1, so chaining up 1, and then we're going to turn the work like this. And what we're going to be doing is for the first stitch, which is that stitch just there, we're going to be, see on the top of the stitch there's a V, there's like a V pattern. What you're going to do for the first stitch is you're going to go beneath both parts of that V, so see in through the side just there, you're going to go beneath both parts of that V, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through those 2 loops, for a single crochet through the entire of the first stitch. Then for stitches 2 through to 7, so 2 through to 7, we're going to go into the top back part of that V on top of the stitch. So that part just there, you're going to insert your hook through there, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's for stitches 2 through to 7. Okay, and here I am at that final stitch, the 8th stitch along. So for this one, you're going to do the same as the first stitch, which is go beneath both parts of that V at the top of the stitch, single crochet. So just like that. And what we've just done there is that's how it will be forming the ribbed effect for the collar. So what you'll do now is you will chain up 1, you'll turn the work, and you'll just repeat the previous rows. So beneath both parts of the V for the first stitch, stitches 2 through to 7 through the top back part of the V, and then for the 8th stitch through the whole of the stitch again. So we're going to do 100 rows, and once we've done our 100 of these rows, we're going to meet back up and we're going to talk about what we're going to do next. Okay, see you soon. Okay, now that I've done my 100 rows for the ribbed collar, so that's what that's going to start to look like. Now I'm going to slip stitch the ends together, and to do that, what we're going to do is going straight from our last stitch, and we're going to turn the work this way so the stitch is on this side. We're going to pick up the other end, just like this, and fold them together like this. So there's that stitch on the other side. And what you're going to do is you're going to get your hook and you're going to stick it through the first foundation chain on the other end. So that one just there. Let's have a look. So that's where you're going to stick it through there. You're going to grab that corresponding stitch, just like this. Maybe pull it a little tighter so you get a bit more leverage, or better leverage. And you're going to pull it through that foundation chain, just there, like so. Like that, and then pulling that a little tighter, just like that. So that's slip stitched, and that's that first, or that last stitch just there is slip stitched, so you won't need to go back into that. And what you're going to do next is you're going to move to the next foundation chain along. So that's that one just there. Stick your hook through, move to the second stitch along on the last row. So that one just there. Stick your hook through, yarn over, pull through everything. Slip stitched. So that's slip stitching, and then you're going to move to the third one along. So you're going to do this for all 8 stitches and all 8 corresponding foundation chains till you get to the end. Once you've done all 8, we're going to meet back up and we're going to talk about what we're going to do next. Okay, see you soon. Okay, now that I've slip stitched all those stitches together, what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 1 and then turn the work this way and fold it inside out or right side in so that that seam is facing the inside. Where are we? That seam that you slip stitch together is facing the inside. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put a single crochet into all 100 of these row ends. So starting with the first one just there, you're going to go into that row end, you're going to put a single crochet. So that's 1. Then move on to the next row end along, which is this one just here. So that'll be 2. Next row end, so just there, that will be 3. Then moving on to that one just there, which is 4. So you're going to do this for all 100 row ends till you get to the end of the round. And once you've done all 100 of these row ends, we're going to meet back up and we're going to talk about what we're going to do next. Sorry. All right, see you soon. Okay, now that I've put all my single crochets in around the row ends of the neck or of the collar, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for that single crochet that I did right at the beginning just there. So that's that just there. And I'm going to slip stitch into that chain of 1. And just like that. To close the rounds. Okay, what we're going to do at this point is because this is going to be a front seam sweater, but I don't want this seam of the collar to be at the front. So what we're going to do is right from that slip stitch, we're going to chain 1, then we're going to grab our scissors, we're going to cut the yarn, then we're going to pick that back up and just pull that chain through. Pull that chain through because we're tying it off for the moment. You can weave your ends in later. Don't need to worry about that. Now what I've done is I've marked out around the single crochet stitches that I just did then. I've marked out 18 spaces, well, the first and the 18th space of each shoulder. So there'll be 18 spaces to begin with for each shoulder, and 32 spaces or 32 stitches for the front and the back, so that makes up 100. And this is where we're going to be starting our increases. But what you're also going to want to do, because we're starting at the front obviously, because it's going to be a front seam sweater, from the back where you just tied off. And also I need to mention that what we're doing is, for every round we will be chaining up, because it's going to be in double crochet. For every round we will be chaining up 2 and turning the work. So we're working in a back and forth pattern. So we're going to start that right from what we've done here with the single crochets. So this is the side you were working on. So what you're going to do is you're going to turn to this side, ignoring all these scraggly bits, and then you're going to count 50 stitches along. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count 50 stitches along. Okay, now that I've counted 50 stitches along, so that's that one just there. What we're going to do is we're going to stick our hook into the next one along, which is going to be the first of the 50 on the other side of the work. So that's the 50th one just there, and that's the first of the next 50. So we're sticking it through the first of the next 50. Then what we're going to do is we're putting our orange aside for now. We're going to find our white yarn. You're going to grab the end of that, and we're going to make a fresh slip knot. So making a fresh slip knot, you're going to adjust that knot to the hook, pull it through that stitch just there, because you want that scraggly bit to be on the inside of the work, so pull that through, just like that. Then you're going to chain up 1. So chain up 1 stitch, or chain up 1 chain. Then right from that chain of 1, you're going to put a double crochet into that same stitch that you put the slip stitch into. So slip stitch, just double crochet. Oh, sorry. So to do a double crochet, it's yarn over, insert your hook, then yarn over, pull up a loop. So you've got 3 loops on the hook, then yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So that's a double crochet, and you're going to be working a double crochet into every stitch until you get to the first stitch marker. So the first of the 18 for this shoulder on this side. So once we get to that shoulder, we'll meet back up and we'll talk about what we're going to do at that point. Okay, see you soon. Okay, here I am at my first stitch marker, and I'm going to take that out so we can work into that stitch. And what we're going to do into that stitch is we're going to yarn over, double crochet, so put 1 double crochet into that next stitch, followed by a chain of 2, so 1, 2, then another double crochet into that same stitch, double crochet, and there's our first increase, and that's what that's going to look like. So now you're going to work a double crochet into every stitch till you get to the next stitch marker. You're going to do the same thing, double crochet into that space, chain 2, and another double crochet into the same stitch. Then you're going to, once you've done that, hang on, I'll just show you what you're going to do after that. So let's walk through this together. So you're going to do that at that next stitch marker. Then you're going to be working 32 double crochets across the back. So because you've marked it out, you'll be able to find those. You're going to work 32 double crochets across the back till you get to this stitch marker, which is the first of the next shoulder. You're going to repeat the process, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, same stitch, same into this one. But then when you get to the last stitch, we're going to meet back up. So you're going to put a double crochet into the last stitch just there at the front. And once you've done that, we'll meet back up and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Okay, see you soon. Okay, now that I've reached the final stitch of the round into that last row end, just there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 1 from the beginning. So let's pull this a little closer. Hopefully that will, there we go. So there's that chain 1 at the beginning, into the stitch just above that, and slip stitch to close the round. Now, for the next few rounds, we're going to be, well, they won't be rounds, they'll be more like sort of rows, rounds that we're not joining at the front. we're going to be creating the space at the front. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to chain up 1 and turn, and we'll always be chaining up 1 and turning because that stops the seam from drifting to the side, and it also maintains a nice back and forth pattern, which I like. So we're chaining up 1, we're turning. Now for this first stitch for this round, we're not going to be going into the stitch directly beneath the chain of 1. We're going to be going into the one after that, because your final stitch of this round is going to be the connecting stitch just there beneath the chain of 1. So we're going to put a double crochet into that next stitch along, so 1 double crochet, and this is where we start to form the space. So what we do for the next 2 stitches is we're going to double crochet them together. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, the 3rd stitch along, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now it's yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on that hook. Now you're just going to double crochet to the increase section. So you're going to put a double crochet in until you get to this first increase section, and I'll meet you at that point. Okay, now here I am putting in my final double crochet before the increase section. So just like that. Now that we're at that chain space of 2, we're going to double crochet into the center of that chain space. So just through there, over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we're going to chain 2, so 1, 2, and we're going to put another double crochet into that chain space. And this is how we're going to be increasing from now until these seams, so the front and the back seams on each side, fit comfortably beneath the arms. And I think for me that's going to be about 16 rows, 16 rounds. So 16 of these, including this one just here, so 1, 2, and when I get to 16, I will try it on. I'll see if the front and the back seams fit comfortably beneath my arms, and that's when we're going to join the seams and just continue work on the body for a bit. But before that, there's some other things we've got to talk about. So we've already started the increase at the front just here, and I'm going to meet back up with you at the end of the round so we can do the increase on the other side of that gap together. But what I want to tell you to begin with is I'm going to be doing 4 rounds till I start to include a gap for the shoulder. So 4 of these rows before we start work on that. So we won't have to worry about that just yet. We're just going to do 4 straight rounds of no tampering with the shoulder till we get to the point where we need to include a gap. But obviously we'll meet back up when it comes time for that, and I'll talk you through how we're going to do that. This is very new to me, this concept, so we're sort of doing it together as we go. But I'm sure once I've done it, I'll be pretty confident with how it goes. And if you need any more help with anything, if you're not clear on anything, please just leave me a comment, or like I said at the beginning, look for me on Instagram and I'll be able to help you, hopefully. I'll be able to talk you through it and we can go through it together. So yeah, not to worry. All right, so yes, like I said, so once you get to the next increase section, you're going to repeat the process that you did for this one. So it's double crochet into the increase section, chain 2, double crochet again into the increase section, into that chain space. Then you're going to complete the double crochets across the back till you get to the next increase section. Repeat the process, continue to the next increase section, complete the process. And like I said, I'll meet you at the end here. So once you get to the 3rd last stitch at the end of the round, we're going to meet back up and we're going to go through. Don't do the 3rd last stitch. Just leave the 3rd, the 2nd, and the 1st last, obviously the last stitch, and we'll go through those together. Okay, see you soon. All right, now here I am at my 3rd last stitch. So we're going to be double crocheting the 3rd last. So yarn over, pull through 2, and the second last stitch together as well as we did at the beginning. And then you're just going to put a double crochet into that last stitch, just like this. And at this point, we're not going to be joining the rounds for 16 rounds, or 16, we'll call them rows, I guess. And we're going to be repeating this process. What have I got? What are my measurements? So we're going to be doing this 4 times before we do 8 rows of just straight rounds without decrease or increase at the front here. And then once we've done that, we're going to do 4 rows, or rows/rounds of increase to bring it back up to the stitch count that we need to join again. So I'll walk you through it. Once I get to the point, I'm going to be meeting back up with you at some point, like I said here, to start work. I think it's after round 4, so 1, 2. Once we've done 4, we'll meet back up again and we'll talk about how we're going to put a gap into the sleeve, the first gap, because there's going to be several in the sleeve. So let's just talk about this for the moment. So what we've done here is we've started our decreases for the gap. Now we're going to chain up 1, we're going to turn. And because we're not closing up the round, you are going to be putting your first stitch directly beneath the chain 1 there into that first stitch. So it's chaining up 1 and we're double crocheting like this into that first stitch. Then into the second and the third, we're going to be doing those together. So yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, yarn over, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over, pull through all 3. So remember, and when you get to the third last stitch at the end, you're going to be doing the same thing. You're going to double crochet the third last and the second last stitch together, then put your final double crochet into that last stitch, and we're going to be doing 4 of these rows. So then you're going to, from this point, obviously just complete the round with the increases for the seams. So that's what you're going to do. I will meet back up with you once we've done our 4 rows of this decrease at the front here. And, well, actually, no, I'll probably meet back up with you first to do the sleeves. Okay, I'll meet back up with you at that point, and we'll talk about how to start work on a gap in the sleeves. I'll show you where I'm up to with the gap at the front. Okay, meet back up with you soon. Okay, here I am, and I've done 4 rounds of the white up from the collar on the shoulder. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And also this is going to be the last round/row where I'm decreasing for the gap at the front. So you're going to finish up that once you get to the end, and that'll be your last decrease for this front gap. But what we're going to do at this point is we're going to start work on putting the gap into the shoulder. And to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to, okay, so I've done my last increase just there before the shoulder. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work 12 double crochets across, but we're going to be double crocheting together the 10th and the 11th. So that's 1, 2, and I'll meet you at the 10th. Okay, now here I am, just putting in my 10th, so we're double crocheting together, so yarn over, pull up a loop, so that's the 10th, and then yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and that's the 11th, and then yarn over, pull through 3 loops, so that's the 10th and the 11th together. Then you're just going to put in that 12th double crochet just there. So now we're in the middle of the shoulder section. Now I've already cut the yarn, so what we're going to do is we're just going to chain and then pull through that chain, and we're going to secure that for the moment. Now what we're going to do is, moving on to the next stitch along, so that one just there, you're going to insert your hook through that stitch, and put that down for the moment. Find the end of the white yarn. We're going to, where are we? There we are. We're going to make a fresh slip knot. So making a fresh slip knot just like that. You're going to pick up the hook again and adjust that to the hook, just there like that. You're going to pull that through that stitch just there, which is the first of the remaining 12 for this shoulder. You're going to pull the slip knot tight like this. Then you're going to chain up 1. Now, beside that chain of 1, you're going to put a double crochet into that same stitch, just there like this. 1 double crochet. Then the second and the third stitch along, you're going to double crochet together. So that's 2, and then 3 double crochet together. Then you're going to finish up the remaining stitches to the increase section. You're going to complete the increase section, work your double crochets along the back till you get to the next increase section, complete that increase section, and then repeat the process that we just did on this shoulder. So you're going to double crochet to the 10th stitch, you're going to double crochet together the 10th and the 11th stitch, then you're going to put in your 12th double crochet and cut the yarn, tie it off. You're going to pull a slip knot through the next stitch along, which is the first of the remaining 12 of the shoulder. You're going to chain 1 and put a double crochet in beside that chain 1 into that first stitch. You're going to double crochet together the second and the third stitch. And then you're going to complete this round, which, I don't know, did I say before? This is the final round of decreases for the front gap. So you're going to... you're going to get to the end of the round. You're going to double crochet together the third last and the second last stitch, and then put in your final stitch there. And then for 8 rounds, you're just going to be doing 8 straight rounds of no decrease, no increase. But yes, I am still going to meet up with you again for the next round, because I'm going to talk you through how we're creating these shoulder and arm gaps. Yes, it's quite the process, but you know, it's going to be okay. And I'm going to show you how we're going to work in these loose threads as well, so we don't have to worry about them when it comes time to put on the edging. It's just going to be a nice sort of clean hole just there to put the edging into. All right, so meet back up with you for the next round. Like I said, just repeat this process and we will go through it together. Okay, see you soon. All right, now here I am on my next round, and I'm up to the shoulder again. So what we're going to do is, I haven't put in this increase section yet, so we're going to do that increase section for the seam. Then we're moving on to the shoulder again. So what we're doing is we're putting in double crochets up until the third last and the second last stitch into the middle. And just here, we'll double crochet those together. Then we put 1 single double crochet into the last stitch. So what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll meet you at the third last. Okay, so I'm at the third last, and you'll find that because you're increasing by a stitch for the increased sections at the seam, you're going to be adding a stitch while you're decreasing a stitch in the middle. So it's still good, the stitch count is going to be like 12. So we're on the 10th stitch again, so you're going to pull a loop through that, half of the double crochet, then moving on to the 11th. Half of that double crochet, then double crocheting those together and putting a stitch into the final stitch. So that's the 12th one just there. 1 double crochet into that final stitch. Then you're going to chain 1, find your scissors, and you're going to cut the yarn. Cutting the yarn kind of neatly though, you know. So cutting the yarn, and then you're going to pull that chain through to secure it, and just like that. Now I should have actually stitched in this one beneath as I went along before, but I'm going to show you how to do that now. So we've got this straggly bit just here, plus we're going to grab our yarn, and we're going, a fresh piece of yarn, and we're going to make another slip knot. So making a slip knot, you're just going to grab that stitch, put your yarn, put your hook through that stitch at the end just there, making sure this straggly piece of yarn is sort of over the hook like this, and pull to this side. Now you're going to adjust your slip knot to the hook. So adjusting your slip knot to the hook, pull that tight, and you're going to chain up 1. So you've got 2 straggly bits just there. Now what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over, you're going to put your first double crochet into that stitch beside the chain of 1, and you're going around those straggly bits. So you're crocheting those into the work. Whoop. Double crochet. crochet just like this. Now moving on to the next stitch along, remember we're double crocheting the second and the third stitch together, working around those straggledy bits, so you're crocheting them in. So that's what you're doing. You're going along and you're just sort of crocheting them into the work like that, so you don't have to weave them in later. Just makes it easier. I'll weave that in next time. I mean later. So also making sure any bits that you need to weave in are on the inside of the work. Anyway, we'll get to that later. So what we're doing for this armhole is I want to decrease to a point where there's a gap of about 16 stitches across. So we're decreasing by 16 stitches for the shoulder. So what have we done? We've done 1 and 2. So for this shoulder we've decreased by 4. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So we're decreasing by 8 rows. And then once we've done that, we're going to start increasing again to rejoin the space. And then once we've done that, we're going to do 4 rounds of just no increases, no decreases, no gaps. Then we're going to put in another gap after that. So I will meet back up with you, but now I think you know what's going on. I don't think we need to meet back up. So like I said, you're decreasing into every third last and second last stitch. You're double crocheting those together, put in your last stitch, tie off, make a slip knot, put it through here, pull it tight, chain 1, and also making sure to crochet in the straggly bits, these ends. And you're going to be putting in a double crochet into the first stitch next to the chain of 1, double crochet the second and the third stitch together, and that's how you're doing it. And you're doing that for a total of 8 rows. So we will meet back up once we've done that, and we'll talk about how the front is going, and yes, we'll continue from there. So yes, also we've started just the rows of no increase for the front, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. So just complete these 8 rows of increases for this. We'll meet back up soon and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. I hope this is all making sense. If not, please let me know. Okay, all right, see you soon.